Damn these.
It happens every night.
Every old night.
And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
I have
So
not.
he never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time.
See.
This highway does not know my name, and I don't care. No, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget live, the not so live variety from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill here in beautiful southern middle Tennessee. And we're back on the home turf. And if I sound a little hoarse, it's because I've been talking a lot of bass fishing, but mainly in the fourth quarter of the Tennessee-Alabama game. I was fleeing Alabama after wrapping up the Alabama Bass Trail, screaming at my phone. I had it propped up there on the Hulus, watching the Tennessee Volunteers get the dub against the Alabama Crimson Tide. And Nick Saban himself said it this week on College Game Day that this rivalry right here, the third Saturday in October, meant more to all of the teams he coached than any other game they played all year, any other rivalry game. And it was a lopsided rivalry for, a very long time, obviously. And now in the last, 2 out of 3 years, the Volunteers kind of getting their footing a little bit on the third Saturday in October. Very ugly game, very sloppy game if you watched it. Lots of penalties, lots of craziness, lots of turnovers. I did not get to watch probably, I would say, 3/4 of it. I was glancing. I did have my phone propped up on the weigh-in monitor on the Alabama Bass Trail stage, but we had a very important event going on. It was the championship, where we handed out over $100,000 and handed out $50,000 to the first place winners, Nicholas Turner and Joe Lay. Got it done 2 days. Stingy fishing on Lay Lake. So cool being a part of that. And I talked about this being on top of the Tennessee-Alabama game, and it was really cool. I said I was in a frenemy territory because so many dear friends in Alabama that are Alabama fans, and I say it week after week in football season. My favorite thing about football season is y'all in the comments giving me a hard time, and me texting my buddies and calling my buddies, and those rivalries are so much fun. But I stood up at the Alabama Bass Trail meeting Thursday night and said go Vols, and I basically got booed by about 400 people. And I got a lot of roll tides coming across the stage on day one on Friday, and I kept getting the score yelled at me when I'm up there trying to concentrate on my job. And we wrapped things up the Alabama Bass Trail right as the fourth quarter started. I hugged everybody's necks, said I'll see you in a couple weeks at Wheeler Lake for the last ABT 100, and I hightailed it north. And we were able, about the time I got to downtown Birmingham, we were winning that ball game. So much fun, and giving everybody a hard time, and them giving me a hard time. I actually had Stupid Darian and Trey Swindle on the phone at the same time, and it was glorious. And I'm sure they'll return the favor one of these days. They say they're a basketball school now. It's what Darian and little Trey are claiming the LOB. But again, great event, Alabama Bass Trail. So many cool stories, man. I love bass fishing. I love it with all I've got. Obviously, I wouldn't talk about it once a week on this show if I didn't, but it's just, there are a lot of, there's a reason that the Alabama Bass Trail has been so successful, and the leadership Miss Kay provides, but the team there is amazing. But the anglers are some of the just the finest folks you'll ever be around. And man, they have welcomed me with open arms this year, and it's been so much fun watching them compete and feeling those emotions when they're on stage. I've never really got to do the MC thing very often, and maybe a couple small tournaments here and there. And this was really my first, try at that. Obviously, run my mouth about bass fishing a lot. Do live coverage for NPFL. I've done Bassmaster Live guest spots. I've done FLW Live over the years, but I've never done the MC thing. And man, it's just so cool being there in those moments, especially yesterday. We had Harrell and Smart were leading. They were in the hot seats. I'm getting to play it up, and dude, they just narrowly missed winning that thing. And Brett Harrell, Tyler Smart. So much fun, and man, but you could just, the intensity, the anxiety, those guys, man, it was a lot, and a lot of emotions on that stage that I've seen this year from so many different anglers and teams there. So thanks to all the lowlifers. There's a lot of lowlifers that fish the Alabama Bass Trail, and shout out to all of y'all for always being so kind to me. So got another busy week this week. NPFL, Lake of the Ozarks. I feel like I need and they're back. Of course, the event 5 was supposed to be St. Johns River. This was supposed to be the finale. Hurricane caused St. Johns River to get canceled. So I think they're going to have an event in December. St. Johns River still a little flooded, some craziness going on, but I think they're going to finish the season in December now. It's been a crazy, crazy year for so many. We know that with all this crazy weather, especially. But Lake of the Ozarks is now event 5 instead of event 6. I think it should be a really good tournament. Y'all be sure to tune in. It's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday event this week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We will be broadcasting Thursday and Friday. So if you're bored at work, if you've got a job that you want to avoid for a little bit, you can join myself and Fat Cat Newton, tnpfl.com, Thursday, Friday. But I think the guys will catch them. We've had a couple of cold fronts. Water temperatures should be dropping. The Toyota series up there a few weeks ago looked brutally tough weight-wise, but I feel like the NPFL crew is going to catch them up this week. So looking forward to that. NPFL announced their schedule. Part of their schedule looks pretty juicy. It looks interesting. The no forward-facing sonar rule next year will make a couple of the events worth watching. I'll just be honest. If it was a forward-facing sonar deal, I could almost guarantee you I could predict how it would be won. Now I don't know. So go check that out. They've still got a couple that they've got to announce in the next 2 weeks, but getting things out there and some interesting fisheries and not places that you see pop up on the map all the time. I believe we've got Douglas Lake in there in May. Going to kick off the year at Santee Cooper first week of March. That's going to be an absolute slaughter, you would assume, down there in the old low country. So it should be a lot of fun. They're going to go to Lake Eufaula out in Oklahoma. They have a Northeastern event on the schedule. It's terrible that I don't know all this. Like I said, been a little crazy. Hang on, let me pull this up. I had some comments sent to me about people griping about our schedule that would never even attempt to fish. Yeah, Santee Cooper, then they're going Douglas Lake in May, Lake Eufaula in June. I believe we're going Northeast in July into early August. Logan Martin, obviously Northeast is going to be a smallmouth event. Logan Martin, Oxford, Alabama in September. That's going to be a little grimy. And then I believe there will be an event in there in the spring, another spring event that they have not announced the dates on yet. So interesting schedule. We'll see. We'll see what happens. If you are interested in fishing, they're taking applications now, and we still got a lot to sort out with NPFL Angler of the Year, all the things. So a lot of pro fishing is over with. Got a Toyota Series Championship coming up, but it's pretty much, it's deer season. It's deer season. So you want to watch some bass fishing, tnpfl.com this weekend. Hearing that there's some guys dropping out of BPT again. I know. Shocker. Lots of changes. There's a lot of unrest, man. There's just so much unrest. I saw a video Skeet Reese post. He was let go by Pure Fishing after many, many, many years on the soft plastic side and the line side of things. And I don't think that has anything to do with him fishing BPT. It's not why even. That was a weird segue. I apologize. But there's just so much unrest, man. And I think anglers don't know what they're going to do. I think financially it's more difficult than it's ever been. But I was told that a few anglers are dropping out because I know some anglers that did not requalify that have already been called and invited back. Whether they'll take it or not sure. That's up in the air. But I have heard that some BPT anglers are leaving. Are they going to the Opens? Are they going to the NPFLs? Are they just done, period? Who knows? I don't even know the list yet. But I have definitely been told by an angler that this has happened. So not sure what's going on. More changes. And look, I think in the next couple of years, you can expect to see a lot of that in all the trails just because sponsorship world is very tight. Economy's not great. And I said it on here. It's going to be a long, long off season for a lot of pros. I think there's going to be a lot of cuts. So next year could look a lot different on some jerseys and some boat wraps. That is for sure. And it's just a tough time. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see a roster for Bass Pro Tour once that does kind of settle out, if indeed that is the case. And I was told up to like 5-6 guys dropped. Again, not sure. Pretty good source on it, I will say that. But look forward to seeing the roster, to who's in, who's out, and then what the plans are. I do think with that Opens announcement, I think you're going to see some guys still fish BPT and try to slide in 4 of those tournaments and see how that works out, because BPT, with that, the way that's set up now, if a guy's wanting to get back to the elites, if the schedule permits to fish one of the 2-4 tournament divisions that will then, if you make the top 50, qualify you for the EQs. The EQs are all in the fall. So you're not going to miss a Bass Pro Tour event to go fish those. So I think you'll see some guys, if they're kind of walking that line, 1 foot on the line, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, playing hokey pokey with the idea of the Opens and the Bass Pro Tour, this could give them that opportunity. So I think that that probably factored into Bass's decision a little bit to schedule things the way they did, I would imagine. But yeah, again, just since 2019, guys, all bets are off. Or really the fall of 2018, I guess. All bets are off. It is just, once they flipped the switch and the split happened, it's just been hang on for dear life, put on your helmet, strap in, son, because it's wild. It is definitely wild out there, without a shadow of a doubt. I want to thank some sponsors before we get a great guest on today. I appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in each and every week, like always, you bunch of low-lifers. And did a live last week. Appreciate Bo Browning tuning in. But the reason I get to do this each and every week for you guys that are so loyal is because of the sponsors. So make sure you support the sponsors that support the show. Folks like Gill Fishing, gillfishing.com, some of the best rain gear you'll ever wear, warm weather gear. Listen, I had on every bit of gill gear I could at the Alabama Bass Trail Championship. Morning number 1, it was 39. I'm talking about boots, gloves, my rain suit, you name it, I had it on. But they've got warm weather gear. They got warm weather gear, cold weather gear, rain suits, and they want to give you a gift. You can use code LBL promo at gillfishing.com at checkout to get a gift. I think that's the code. I probably screwed that up. Michelle will yell at me. I'm sorry, Michelle. Should have written that down. Let me look that code up, actually. I'm all over the place. I've been like, I felt like I fished 3 days at the Alabama Bass Trail. We were running hard down there. It is LBL promo. See, dadgummit, man. When you're right, you're right, And I've been right a couple times. Been wrong. I've been wrong a few times too now. Ask me how I know that. Been wrong a few times. As recent as this year, I've been wrong. All right. ProGuideBatteries.com. I got another testimonial. I know y'all get wore out by my ad reads, but let me tell you something. Staying at a Hampton Inn down at Lay Lake, didn't have access to an outlet where I had to park every evening. And there were tournament boats. I wasn't trying to get in the way, and there were very few outlets. So, went out on the water Thursday. Me and my buddy Shannon Wheeler, we filmed some content for Kay. We fished around a little bit on Lake Mitchell. Probably spent 4 or 5 hours out there running live scope the whole night, okay? Come back in, don't charge the batteries. Just turn off the main power switch. Friday, I'm out there for 6 hours doing ABT live. Don't charge that night. Saturday, the same thing. And, dude, never missed a beat. Now, I'm running the stacked up 36-volt all-in-ones for my trolling. I'm running them in parallel. And then I'm running 2 of the Pro Guide lithiums, one for cranking and one strictly for electronics. I can't say enough about them. I just can't. I'm several years into running them. I can't run them down. It was the same way with the AGMs. So you can get yours at ProGuideBatteries.com. Use code LBL10 on that. Bait-works.com, bait-wrx.com. Your online tackle home. You better not order it if you don't want it. They're going to get it to you fast. And it's the exclusive online home of this little guy right here. Endorsed by Bo Browning last week on Low Budget Live as his favorite jig that he throws all over the country now. But the LOB jig exclusively online at bait-wrx.com. You can use code Duncan-10 to get, in my opinion, one of the best jigs out there. It's going to get you a lot of bites. It's got that Trocar hook that is custom designed 3/0. You can throw it on big line, finer than frog hair skirt material. But don't just use Duncan-10 on the LOB jig. It works on everything on bait-works.com, and they got it all. Check them out. And last but not least, hang the banner, the all-welded bass boat of all time, really. The original OG all-welded aluminum bass boat, the Express X21 Pro is what I'm running this year, the LE version. They got an X19. They've got the H20. That's a bad dude with a 175. Doesn't hurt the bank. Go check them out at expressboats.com. C-deck, bow to stern. More tackle storage than you can shake a stick at. I promise you, you are going to love the whole shot that the Yamaha provides when it's attached to that Express transom. Go check them out. Find a local dealer. Go for a ride. I promise you. Again, I say this a lot. Shannon Wheeler was in my boat. He had never ridden in the Express. He was just blown away. Blown away. All my cameramen all year on ABT, like, I can't believe this is an aluminum boat. Absolutely makes me so proud every time that happens. Y'all know I'm all in with that Express crew. Express Boats building excitement since 1966. All right. My voice is actually a lot worse than I thought it thought it was. Now that I'm actually trying to talk, I haven't done a lot today. Been kind of lazy. Haven't talked a lot. And yeah, it's definitely weak. So I apologize for that. Our guest today just wrapped up winning one of the most prestigious bass tournaments in all of fishing. In my opinion, I think it's very underrated. I think it's a tournament that doesn't get enough love once you get east of the Mississippi River. It has kicked out champions like Rick Clunn, John Murray, some amazing guy named Aaron Martins, and so many other legends over the years have competed and won this event. And they've added another, in my opinion, legend in the making. I got to spend a lot of time with this guy at NPFL. He is absolutely a stone cold bass catcher from Roseville, California. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2024 One Bass U.S. Open champion, Bryant Smith. All right, as promised, here he is, your 2024 U.S. Open champion, the One Bass U.S. Open. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it, Bryant Smith?
Oh, man, I wanted that title for, ever since I knew what bass fishing was, ever since I knew what tournament bass fishing was. You know, growing up on the West Coast, it was a tournament we always watched. You know, I always followed, and man, to have that title, it's still, I think I won it last Wednesday and we're here on Sunday and it still hasn't sunk in that my name's going to be on that trophy.
It is certainly, we were talking just a little bit before I hit record, but it's certainly every West Coast angler's dream. But like you said, you kept up with it. I've kept up with it for so many years, just being a bass fishing nut. And man, I feel like it's so underappreciated. On the playing fields, they've had that thing on Lake Mead for so many years, so tough. This year, the last few years, it's been on Mojave, which is just appears to be a special fishery out in the desert there. But talk about, I mean, does it stack up against the Classic, especially for a West Coast guy?
Man, it is. It's basically our Classic. It really is. It is going to have the best of the best from the West Coast. It's actually been pretty cool the past couple of years. We've been getting a lot of guys from the East Coast coming over. I'm noticing more and more guys from the East Coast coming over to fish this thing, and people are seeing it. It's our West Coast Bassmaster Classic. It really is. And I was thinking about it on the drive home. If I would rank titles to have in bass fishing, me personally, obviously, but the Classic, Angler of the Year, those are obviously 1 and 2. A blue trophy on the Elite Series for sure, but then, it's definitely the U.S. Opens. It's close behind all those because there's so much history, so much prestige to it. For those who aren't really familiar with it, man, it is the tournament. It is the tournament. And the other cool thing is, like, it's so hard to win because you only get one shot at it every year. So it is like a Classic in that sense. You're only going to get one shot. And last year I ended up third. And it was one of those tournaments that I just could not stop thinking about until it came around again. So everything has to be right. Everything has to go right for you. It has to truly be your time to win that thing. But it is a big, big deal for sure.
No doubt about it. And I love the format. I love the AAA or co-angler side, that shared weight format. I've always been obsessed with that. I think that is as perfect as you can get because you've got two guys working together. How do you approach that in those events? And what would be your suggestion if somebody's fishing AAA, like how to approach that with your pro?
Yeah, it's different, being on the Elite Series, we just kind of fish whatever's in front of us. We don't have to really worry about anybody behind us unless it's a marshal or a camera. So having that team aspect in it, it really throws kind of a different curveball. It's a really cool curveball though, because like I said, you guys are a team that day. You're going to draw 3. If you're fishing on the pro side, you're going to draw 3 different AAAs, and each day you guys are a team. So if he catches them all, or if I catch them all, or if he catches 1 and I catch 4, we weigh that bag in together. So it's really a different dynamic than any other format out there. And it's one of the coolest dynamics because, if you're fishing an MLF or a Bassmaster Open, it's not that you don't want the guy behind you to catch him. It's just you prefer him not to catch your fish. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It can uproot the entire day, right?
For sure.
Key fish here, key fish there. When we had them on the FLW tour, and I fish co-angler on the FLW tour, I mean, it can change the course of a day, whether directly or indirectly, right? And in the Opens, I think a lot of times you have guys that draw co-anglers and then they don't have enough, right? So you get guys that get to go out by themselves, and that definitely can alter things. So teaming up with them, I can't even imagine how cool that is.
Yeah, it's really cool. And like a perfect example of how I kind of, approach it is when I see an opportunity for us to work together, I always take it. I'm not too proud to have my guy, say, hey, like, I really want to be doing X, but I got to be doing Y. Can you can you throw a spinnerbait for me while I go pan around and try to catch them on a drop shot? Like, I'm not too proud to have them do that. I don't need to catch all the fish. I know how that format works. And a really cool story that came out of this was the first day. I actually hooked a catfish. It was like an 8 to 10 pound catfish. And I get it all the way to the boat. My co-angler's there with the net, ready to net it, kind of, deal with it, right? And I look down below this catfish, and there are 2 4-pound smallmouth following this catfish in. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, give me the net. I'll deal with this catfish. You just go grab a rod. I don't care what it is. Anything that sinks, drop it down there and just try to catch one of those fish. And I grab the net, I get this catfish, and he's dropping his bait down on that fish. And then I'm dealing with this catfish in the bottom of the boat, trying to get my drop shot out of its mouth. And he says net. And I'm like, yes, yes, please be one of those ones that I saw. And sure enough, I'm like, hey, is it a good one? He's like, yeah. So I dumped that catfish on the bottom of the boat, and he's barking at me and all that stuff. And I go to scoop this fish, and it's a 4 1/4. It was one of the ones we weighed in that day. So that's one of those perfect instances where, the AAA format, the working as a team, it's really, really cool. And if you take advantage of it, it can help you win, and it can help you do really, really well in these tournaments.
That is too cool, man. And I actually thought about, I was talking to Mr. Egan himself earlier this year about coming out. We were going to play some music at it potentially. And I was like, hey, what if I slid in on AAA side out there? Just because I've never fished in the desert. I've never fished any of those West Coast fisheries. I just thought that would be one of the coolest experiences. And I might have to add that to the schedule next year. I don't know. Listen, I'm old, fat, and tired, Bryant. I don't know that I'm ready to drive and pull the express all the way out there to fish against you West Coast hammers, but I might jump in that AAA side. That'd be pretty fun.
That'd be awesome. I know I'd have a practice partner for it at least. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. That would be cool. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and put my name on the list right now if I get to make that happen. But such a cool event, man. I see all the pomp and circumstance from it. They have a big event there before it kicks off. They do a great job. Talk about, now that you've been everywhere, essentially, I feel like you fished every fishery in the United States now, between what you fished on the West Coast prior to coming out east, and then the NPFL, and now the Bassmaster Elite Series and the Opens. You've seen a little bit of everything. Is there a difference? Because I can speak from personal experience there's a difference in a Tennessee River smallmouth and a Northeast smallmouth. Is there a difference in a desert smallmouth and a St. Lawrence River smallmouth?
There is big time. A lot of the techniques are going to be the same, how you catch them, stuff like that. But how they move and how they relate to different features of the lake, like the cool thing about the Colorado River, so Lake Mead, Lake Mojave, and Lake Havasu, is that it is like nowhere else you've ever fished. It is the coolest place to hold a bass tournament. Just from the scenery, all the animals. I mean, you see coyotes all day long. You see donkeys all day long. Every once in a while, you see the big, the bighorn sheep. That stuff. The brutal conditions. It's always going to be hot. The wind blows there, very similar to the Great Lakes, but they do act differently. They do act differently. But if you treat them as a smallmouth, you can still catch them the same way anywhere else on the water. They still do have those tendencies of just sight feeders, ultra clear water. They use their eyes. They like the finesse stuff, drop shots, Ned rig, stuff like that. But the biggest difference is just the surroundings of that place. It's like no other place that you will ever go to.
Yeah, it would be wild to catch one on a drop shot and look over my shoulder and see a bighorn sheep, I believe. Be pretty wild, to say the least. I think something that impresses me, like I said, I've obsessed over these tournaments for a long time. And whether that be a Toyota series or a one bass, whatever the case is out west, especially on those desert lakes, the amount of power fishing that goes on. Like at a Lake Mead, because I think of it being like this drinking water clear fishery, and they are primarily, for the most part, right? Like the water doesn't necessarily get dirty. And if you're going through bait galleries or you're watching videos, there's a lot of, and not necessarily with the smallmouth, I guess at Mojave, you're talking finesse tactics, but there's a ton of power fishing that goes on.
There is, it's Lake Mead's really cool because I've heard it for years before I ever fished that place, but it really is like the great equalizer. You're never going to catch them in the same place twice. You're never going to catch them the same way twice. It's always almost like a new lake every time you go there. And there's a lot of that to the desert, where they just move around. You know, they're super, super nomadic fish. But, you know, even at Mojave, we did catch a couple winding some baits because again, that wind kicks up in that desert and those fish go to eating and it's super, super cool. And I think the other reason why they do that is they just don't get as much pressure as, you know, like a St. Lawrence or a Champlain or anything like that. They're going to kind of be left alone for the most part. There's not a lot of people around there. You know, there's not a lot of people in Las Vegas that go bass fishing. There's not a lot. Havasu gets a lot of pressure, but that's kind of a different situation. Those two, Lake Mead, Lake Mojave, those two, they're just kind of little gems stuck out there in the middle of the desert. And you can really go do whatever you want. Like we weighed the final day, we weighed one once the wind picked up, we weighed one on a spinnerbait,
That's
you
awesome.
know, so it's, yeah, when a 4.5 pound, and my co-angler caught that one. It was one of those deals. Again, going back to that AAA pro thing where we work together. It's like, I need to be doing my drop shot thing, but the wind picked up. If you can throw a spinnerbait around, man, that would be awesome. And he catches a 4.5 on a spinnerbait right behind me. And I am the happiest person in the world to go net that fish. But
I guarantee.
yeah, it's pretty cool how diverse of a fishery these things are, especially in the desert.
Yeah, I've got to get a dose of that at some point. But
Mm-hmm.
um, the names on that trophy, we talked a little bit about that before. And in my intro, you got the Rick Cluns, John Murray's, Aaron Martin's, Mike Folkstad's. You know, these legendary and so many more legendary Byron Velvick. And mainly, I'm just mentioning the guys that kind of came out east and got on everybody's radar, right? Obviously, and legends in the sport, but your name right there in the mix now, Bryant Smith. That is just for a West Coast guy, California native. I know you got to be proud.
Man, I don't, I got no words for that one because not only do you have all the guys that made it on the East Coast, you know, like you said, Aaron and John Murray, Mike Folkstad, Rick Clun, all those guys, but you got so many legends of the sport on the West Coast, you know, the guys that they paved the way for guys like me to make it fishing out West. And I probably won't believe it until I see my name on that trophy, but yeah, that one was really, really cool to know that I'm going to be on there. I don't know if I belong on there, but with some of those names, but man, I'm sure proud that I'm going to be on that trophy, and it's something I'm going to cherish. You know, that's the cool thing. Like that never goes away. Like it's always going to be on that trophy. That's just so wild to me.
It is. I can answer the question. I don't know if I belong on there. I can tell you that you absolutely belong on there. Now, I'm not the authority on anything, but I got to spend time with you when you're fishing the NPFL. You're with us in the inaugural couple years there. You make the Bassmaster Elite Series after that, and it's hard to balance both. So we lost you. We lost you to the Elite Series, but very early on, man. Very early on, and we've talked about this on this show before, and I'm not trying to blow your head up, Brian Smith. You're a very humble guy, but I said this guy's one of the next greats from the West Coast. Just watching you, man, your demeanor on camera, we would see you at every tournament, it seemed, in that first season in a different scenario, catching them, breaking down what you were doing on camera, on live, so well, and that you were just a total package. And I'm like, this guy, and I had heard that coming into the season. Some friends of mine from the West Coast were like, hey, let me give you a name on your roster that you better pay attention to. And you were that name. And it didn't take long for us to figure out that Bryant Smith was one to watch. And then, man, you go in there like a wrecking ball into the Elite Series. You're one in your rookie year. You set the smallmouth record 5 for 29.5 at the St. Lawrence River. You make a classic, have a pretty damn good showing at the Classic too, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's dude, I just love fishing. That's all it boils down to. Like I just got off the water today. We just went fishing again. Like I can't get enough of it. And the other cool thing is where I'm from, you know, for a lot of people who aren't familiar with the West Coast, is we have such a diverse group of fisheries that if you want to be successful out here and not just be a one lake wonder, you really have to know how to do everything. You have to be confident in everything, whether it's 6 pound test and a small little worm on a drop shot in the desert, or flipping 65 pound test, 80 pound braid in the Delta, or going and fishing docks at Clear Lake, or going throwing a top water for spotted bass up north. We have such a diverse fishery group of fisheries out here. It's not so regional, like I've noticed back east, where you guys will get almost your regional specialists, and
Oh
they'll
yeah,
be really, yeah, you'll be really good. Like if you get the
Tennessee
Florida
River
guys,
guy, yeah, Florida guys,
yeah,
Tennessee River guys, Texas guys, yeah,
yeah, yeah, herring fishery guys up,
yeah.
northern fishery. Uh, we're really, really lucky with what we have here, because it's such a great training ground to become a really, really versatile angler. And I always lean on that versatility. And it was a perfect example. The NPFL, they have such a diverse schedule every year. Um, I have to go and figure out which techniques work, but I have confidence in all those techniques. And I've been in so many different scenarios, growing up here fishing on the West Coast, that I have the confidence to go, grab a swim bait and go, a 3/4 ounce swim bait and go drag it on a ledge and, pick with. Or we go up north to Winnebago that first year, and, we're fishing docks on a natural lake. Well, now I'm just back fishing docks at Clear Lake. That's all it is. So
Smaller bass though.
yeah, so a little bit smaller bass for
Those
sure, but
Wisconsin largemouth don't stack up to those Clear Lake largemouth.
yeah, but I mean, you get what I'm saying. Like, it's the
No doubt.
same idea. I can go and I always try to relate something to back home. Wherever I am, I always try to relate it. Like, okay, what does this remind me of? If I go up north, what does it remind me of? Well, it reminds me of fishing for smallmouth, clear water in the desert. We went to Smith Lake this year. Perfect example.
Mhm.
I was so excited to go to Smith Lake, because those are my spotted bass. Those are my guys. Those are my favorite fish that swims, and I got a ton of confidence going in there fishing for those things. So being familiar with all those different scenarios and all those different kind of techniques, it's always been a huge help for me, and I think I definitely attribute a lot of my success to that for sure.
Well, do you have any difficulties during the season? I mean, being a West Coast guy, all the tournaments are going to be out east.
Mm-hmm.
You got a young family on the
Yeah.
West Coast. Do you fly? And I say difficulties like travel difficulties. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you face during the season for folks that don't understand being a West Coast angler trying to compete on the Bassmaster Elite Series? I mean, are you flying back and forth in between events when there's a gap, leaving a boat and truck over here? I doubt you're trucking back and forth across the country very much, but how does that work for Bryant Smith?
Yeah, I get a lot of frequent flyer miles. That's all it is. I got a lot of buddies that, if I call them and say, "Hey, can I leave my truck and boat, and you be my Uber to the airport and come grab me when I'm back?" I got a lot of buddies, great people back there that they drop everything. They come grab me, and they'll keep my boat safe. We did the storage thing for a little bit the first couple of years, and that's just a little iffy. So, and then, like you said, with my wife and my son, I'm back home as much as possible. I think we had a 5 day gap in between Wheeler and Smith Lake this year, and I flew home on a Monday and I flew back home on a Friday. I'm not going to miss. I'm going to be home as much as I possibly can to watch that guy grow up, because I know it's just, it comes with the territory. It comes with the job description. You're going to not be home. You're going to miss a lot of stuff. So when I do have the opportunity to be home, I make sure that I'm going to be home, because I don't want to miss him growing up as much as I have the option to stay out here. My wife, she's absolutely amazing. She does everything. She takes care of the household. We all have those wives to basically make this fishing addiction possible. So she would be fine if I stayed back there and fished, and was gone for a couple weeks or 3 or 4 weeks or a month, whatever it is. But being that, I got them, I want to spend as much time as I possibly can with them. And, pretty cool story. Before the U.S. Open, I think it was the first day of practice. My son's just starting to talk. Well, he started to talk about 3 or 4 months ago, but he's starting to put phrases together now. He's starting to do one or two words. And my wife called me after the first day of practice, and she said, "You're never going to believe what he's saying." And I'm like, "What? What is he? Is he swearing or something? Do I need to be concerned?" Like, what are we teaching him? And she said, "He's saying dad, dad, win," all over the house. That's all he's saying.
Whoa.
And I was like, "Oh boy." And it was one of those tournaments too where you kind of had a feeling. um, I had a feeling that I could win it. I knew I could. And then after I heard that, I was like, well, I got no choice. Like, I got to do everything I can to make that
Represent.
kid right. Yeah. But the fact that, and that was unsolicited. Like, my wife has
Wow.
never said win before in front of him, nothing that he would remember. And he put those two words together for some reason. And I guess he was right.
No, amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you proved him right, Dad.
Yeah.
You didn't let him down.
No, I didn't want to let them down, especially when it's like that. It's like, that is so cool. Yeah, I remember telling that story at the award ceremony. Boy, I almost lost it. I mean,
Yeah, being a dad myself, those kids have a way of making you almost lose it.
yeah, he's really
little things, man, over the years. And dude, I respect it so much that even if you've got a small gap, get back west, spend time with them, and you never get it back. And that's cliche, but as a 41-year-old man, I can tell you, watching my kids, my oldest turned 17 last week. I can tell you, you got to cherish it as much as you can, man, because it does. It just goes by so fast. And when I was traveling a ton for work for years, I would get up so early in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning, to drive to places like Arkansas to go to work to see customers, and then turn around and drive like 7 hours back in the same day, just so I wouldn't miss all games or miss this or that. And I miss plenty. Don't get me wrong, but man, I respect the dad hustle so much, because you look up and and especially if you're gone, like you were saying, a month at a time, at the age your son's at, you come home and everything's just so different immediately. Like
man.
talking about, he's learning new words, he's putting things together every time you're gone. I'm sure he just grows up right in front of your very eyes.
It's incredible. I was gone for, I think, 10 days this trip, and I came back, and I didn't make it back in time to see him before he went to bed, but he woke up the next morning. I went into his bed, and I grabbed him out of his crib and like, "Who are you? It was only 10 days."
Amazing, man, how quick it happens.
Yeah. So really quick. Is. So quick.
Well, man, have you experienced any challenges on the Elite Series that you maybe weren't expecting since you got there? And what I mean by that, like a fishery that maybe went a different way than you thought it was going to, or maybe just being on the Elite Series in general. Are there any challenges you faced being a West Coast guy? I mean, I know we've got to know each other a pretty good bit through the NPFL, but that Elite Series is different. It's different than the NPFL.
Yes.
And the NPFL is stout competition. It's great, but when you get there, I think there are fewer friends, right? It might be a little more. I mean, it's a great group of guys, but it's, man, that intensity level, though, I do feel like kicks up a notch.
It does. It does. Difficulties. Basically, my whole second season was a difficulty. It didn't go how I planned for sure. But those guys, man, you cannot slip up against them. That's the biggest thing. They'll be nice to your face, and they, like you said, they're a bunch of really great guys. We all love bass fishing. We're all here for the same reason, but man, they have no problem taking your money when you give them a chance to. And that is the biggest thing that I've seen is the room for error has gotten so small that one fish here, one fish there. I used to be able to get away with it and still manage a decent finish. Well, if you lose one fish there, here, one fish there on the Elite Series, you're going to go from you'll have the story. Oh, I would have been in 30th place if I would have landed these two, but now I'm in 82nd, and that is by far the biggest thing. I don't know until you fish against those guys. It's so hard to comprehend how incredibly good they are at finding the fish, catching the fish, and bringing them back. It blows me away every single time how everybody finds them, everybody catches them, and it's like you guys just don't quit. My goodness,
Yeah,
you
man.
just don't. You don't take a break. They're always there, daylight to dark. Everybody practices the same amount of time. If you're not there a half hour before sunrise and a half hour after sunset, you got outworked that day. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, there are guys who are there waiting in the boat, ready to go, and you cannot let off against those guys. And I don't know really what happened this year. It was definitely a tougher year for me. I think a lot of it had to do with just, it's almost that snowball effect where you make one bad decision and then you kind of lose a little confidence, and then that rolls into another bad decision and another bad decision. And I just could not get it back on the tracks this year. I would have a good tournament, but then I just totally screw up the next one, and I had no momentum going in, throughout the season. And you need a lot of that momentum with those guys, because if you're not rolling, if you're not trusting your instincts and your decision making, like I said, they have no problem taking your money
Yeah,
at all.
no sympathy,
So
right? They're like, oh,
no,
Brian,
they
let's all slow
they don't
down.
even say sorry. And that's and that's to be expected. I don't expect them to do. I'm doing everything I can to do as well as I can. So, but that was definitely the biggest challenge. It's so weird how one year can change. Uh, just like last year, it was just rolling. Like, from after the first tournament, after I got that first tournament jitters out at Okeechobee, we got a check at Seminole. We made the cut at Seminole, and man, it just seemed to just roll after that. And just every decision I felt was the right one. I found the right fish, caught them in the boat, and it was it wasn't easy. I'll never say it was easy, but it's just when you get that momentum, it it makes making the right decisions even easier. And this year I just couldn't find that momentum. So this was long winded, but this whole season was definitely the toughest.
Was the
Um,
difficulty?
yeah, it was. It was. It's just finding that momentum. That was the difficult part this year. Just trusting my instincts again. But you know, after this tournament, after the U.S. Open, getting that win, um, I feel like I got a little bit of that back, and if we can roll that into next year, we'll be just fine.
You'll be just fine. I was going to actually had that. I think you read my notes. That was a question I was going to ask. Does that obviously that U.S. Open win to kind of put that at the end of the year? It's the off season for the Elite Series. It's got to boost your confidence, man. Headed back into 25 and getting the train back on the tracks, because you'd had a heck of a run leading up to this year, and like you said, you'd have a good one, and then the next one just couldn't find your footing, or just a little bit
Yep.
off the pace. And I love what you've said so many times here, is that you just love bass fishing. And I say this on here a ton over the years, is you have to love it and you have to be obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being is the opens are a gauntlet. You went right through that gauntlet, but you've got to love it, because once they hand you oh, congratulations, Bryant, welcome to the Elite Series. That's just the beginning. That's just
is.
like you've worked your ass off up to that point, but man, once you get there, there are no gimmies, none.
No, there's not. There's not. And like I said before, there's no days off. There's no quit in those guys. They will always try to work as hard as possible, and they do. And it comes with the territory. That's where we always wanted. It's where I always wanted to be as a kid. And growing up, to say that I was an Elite Series angler was the only thing that I wanted in life. And going through the opens, having the good, back when it was three, it was, you kind of had to you needed to mean to be there, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you couldn't outlast guys like you can now when it's nine. Like you have to have three perfect tournaments in a row, and everything has to go your way. So once that happened, and once I was there, man, I get to say that I'm a bass fisherman for a living. That is the coolest thing in the world to me. That will never not be the coolest thing in the world to me. Do I not want to wake up some mornings and get out there, half hour before sunrise? Absolutely. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like it is, it's not easy, but you'll never find me complaining about it because that's what I always wanted to do. I get to live the dream. I don't, I don't take it for granted because I have so many people that, they're behind me and, they're always there. Like the amount of support I got after this win, man, it means the world to me. And I don't just do it for me. I don't just do it for a paycheck. I don't just do it for my family. I do it for everybody who's ever believed in me. And without those people behind you, man, it's not that it's not worth it, but it means so much more when you do well, when you do catch them and you get those messages and you get those texts and those calls. And it's like, yeah, I didn't just win it for me. Obviously I wanted to win it, but I win it for everybody who's ever supported me. And, I don't have the biggest fan group in the world, but, my fan base, they are some of the coolest, most awesome supporters that you can get. And, representing the West Coast as best I can is all I want to do.
Well, I think you are doing that, my friend, for sure. And this year, you're going to be joined by another West Coast guy. That's
Yeah,
he's got to be kind of I feel like in my mind, he's a legend. He's a young
he
legend.
is.
I competed against him on the FLW tour and got to be great friends with him. Of course, we're talking about the one and only Cody Meyer. And he's going to be joining you guys this year too. So some more West Coast brethren there on the Elite Series.
Yeah, yeah, no, that'll be awesome, man. It'll be awesome to have some familiar faces. Him, Andrew Loberg, he's originally from
Yeah,
California
that's
too.
right.
So,
I'm so
we got,
sorry, Andrew Loberg. I'm so sorry. Andrew's my boy. I love me some Loberg. Sorry, buddy.
yeah, both just awesome anglers. I've competed against them quite a bit over the years. And Cody, man, it's almost not fair how easy he made the opens look. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't even look like he broke a sweat. And if he brings that into the Elite Series, well, there's another check gone every single tournament because he has always been he's always been that consistent guy, even out here. He's always in contention or angler of the year. He's always in the top 10. Like, just blows me away with how good he is at just making it work every tournament. No matter what he has to do, he can catch them. And he's got the same upbringing that I have. Like I said before, the West Coast is a really good training ground for a versatile angler. And him and Andrew came out of there. And they're both as versatile get. So they're going to be, along with the other, I think, 7 guys. I mean, the elites are not getting any easier. I'll just say that.
Amen. It just gets harder and harder, man.
It's getting incredible how good they are. You see all these, they're getting younger and younger. And man, it's just blowing me away. I hate to see the elites in like 5 years because it is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, last year your rookie class was great, and then last year's was even better, and then this year there's so much talent top to bottom in that thing. Had Bo Browning on, he's got a pedigree hanging. His dad's fished for a living forever, Stephen Browning, and then when you start talking about Easton Fothergill and Cody and Dakota Ebear and so many of these guys coming in, I want to say, go back to Andrew Loberg real quick. The reason I forgot him, he's an Alabama guy now. He's like an Alabama.
He is.
He won an Alabama Bass Trail this year, dude. I was emceeing. He won the first Alabama Bass Trail 100 of the year. He's officially a Bama resident for sure now with that win.
Yeah, and that's even scarier because now he gets to spend time on all these fisheries. And I'm like,
Now he's a Tennessee River rat.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He was already good. Now he's going to be even better. And that's
scary.
everybody. That's all those guys. All those guys just keep getting better and better and better. And man, I'm just trying to keep up anymore. Like it's blowing me away how good these guys are.
You keep up just fine, brother. There's no doubt about it. Tell the folks where they can find you on social media and make sure, let's expand that Bryant Smith fan base and make it as big as we can make it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Bryant Smith Fishing on Instagram and on Facebook. We're putting a lot more work up. My wife, she actually is kind of my manager now, so everything is much more consistent than it used to be. She gets on my butt, and I need it to be. I need somebody to do that because social media has never been my strong suit. But with her behind me, man, we're trying to push out some really cool stuff. And if you guys want to follow along on the journey, anything Bryant Smith Fishing, that's where you can find me on all that stuff.
All right, well, make sure y'all look him up if you're not already. This guy, again, I can't speak highly enough of him. I appreciate you coming on, dude. Means the world to me to get to talk to you after that big win. Y'all, I was blowing you up. Good luck and congrats. I was fired up to see you in the mix yet again this year, and I know. Getting to know you over the last few years, I know what that meant to you being a West Coast pro. And so thanks for sharing the story. Thanks for sharing the time, and congrats again, man. And 2025, let's have one of those blue trophies. How about that?
That's the next goal. Yeah, that's the next goal on the list for sure. No, I always appreciate your support and having me on, man. Hey, I'm a low lifer. I love this show.
I love West Coast low lifer represent.
Yeah, I've been listening to this show for years, so it's really cool to be on this show. And man, I appreciate everything. And congratulations on your balls yesterday.
Hey, man, go big heart.
Yeah. I mean, hey, being from the West Coast, we don't follow college football very much, but I know when the Instagram wars start and the stories, I know to pay attention.
Yeah, that's how I opened this show. I said that's the most beautiful thing about college football to me. And I was in Alabama yesterday for the Alabama Bass Trail Championship. I'm on the weigh-in stage. People are yelling "Roll Tide" every time they score. It was during the weigh-in, started at 3. Kickoff was like 2:40. So it's going on. I got my phone propped up against the weigh-in monitor, trying to glance down at it. We're trying to hand out $50,000 to a winner. There's a lot going on, guys coming across the stage constantly. So trying to do my job. And you got my buddy Darian Craig, who's a massive Alabama fan. He's got his iPad on the corner of the stage. He also works for ABT, and he's going, Tennessee just threw an interception. He's like yelling at me as I'm interviewing him.
You just dropped the mic.
And I love the state of Alabama. I live right on the Alabama line here in Southern Tennessee. Spent a ton of time in Alabama and love my Alabama Bass Trail family. But I was ready to get away from them yesterday, Brian. I'm not going to lie. I was ready. I did get to watch the fourth quarter by myself in the truck with it propped up, headed up I-65, fleeing Alabama. And about the time I hit Birmingham, the clock hit zeros and we beat Bama. So,
you turned around to go rub it back in there.
Oh, sure. I was like, why? I called my wife and I said, why am I still not on the weigh-in stage? Oh my God. Because I actually, I stood up at the meeting and to address the anglers and congratulate them. And I do appreciate, this was my first full-time year working with the ABT anglers, and they just welcome me with open arms, man. Just great people. And at the end of my speech, I said, by the way, Miss K told me I can run this by you guys on Saturday. I'm going to need the weigh-in to go really fast. I'm going to need you guys to just go through as fast as possible so we can all watch Tennessee beat Alabama go Vols. And I got booed by basically 400 people.
I bet you did.
It was awesome. I loved it. But trust me, on day one of the tournament Friday, I'm getting a lot of guys wearing their crimson, and they got their hats on coming across, and they're just giving me all I can stand. And then Saturday, it went up another notch. Our director on ABT Live in my in-ears, of course, the audience at home can't hear him. He's just badgering me. I'm like, oh, we just pulled up on boat so-and-so and such and such, and they're throwing a whopper popper and doing this. And he's like, Tennessee sucks. Like in my ear. As I'm doing this, and I'm going, what is happening right now? It was a hostile work environment yesterday, to say the least. But so much fun, man. That college football is I don't know. I love the pros. I mean, I was watching Kansas City, San Francisco before we came out here to record.
Mhm.
I love sports in general, man, college sports, but in particular, like you said, you start to see the wars on social media.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
know you
Yeah.
do, yeah, because there's so many of us in the South. That SEC, man, those rivalries are just brutal. Like it can be brutal.
It's incredible. You know, growing up on the West Coast, like we're all sports fans, but you go back east, especially in the Southeast, man, that's some serious stuff over there. I
Oh, yeah.
mean, I don't know how you do it. Like my team, if I cared about my team that much and it lost, I'd be depressed for a week.
I am.
It is incredible.
Dude, I was
Okay.
depressed, buddy. I was
Perfect.
depressed for 20 years. What are you talking about? Tennessee was great. Like the youth, like my youth watching Tennessee versus 20 years of my life until 2 years ago, really. 2022, we kind of got back on pace a little bit, had a fantastic season. Brother, through all the bad coaches, I've watched every game. That's why I'm partially hoarse. I'm an idiot. And my kids
Dedication.
are just like me. Unfortunately, my son Hudson, my 17-year-old, a friend of his, took him to the game. He got to go. He was at Tennessee, Bama. He's sending me videos. He's sending me pictures during the game, and I got a picture of him. The whole thing. So Alabama used to smoke cigars after wins. So then when Tennessee beats them, they smoke cigars. Everybody's got a cigar. My son sends me a picture, an unlit cigar, but he's got it in his mouth with the field in the background. They're rushing the field. I get that last night on my way home, which was very cool. And I'm glad he got to experience it. But I was like, get that damn thing out of your mouth.
That's so awesome.
It's like his contact picture on my iPhone now, though. I'm like, yeah.
That's awesome.
We got to save that one. Yeah. Yeah. So
proud dad moment.
No doubt about it. I was sending it to all my Bama buddies. I'm like, take that.
That's awesome.
So much fun, dude. So much fun. But I appreciate the congratulations there, Bryant Smith.
You want to meet my son? He's right outside. He's yelling at me right now. Hold on 1 second.
Awesome. Let's go. Here we go. Dad win right here.
Yeah, there he is.
What's up, buddy?
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Yeah, this is the guy with ESP right here.
He does.
The guy that predicted it. Yeah.
How many blue trophies is Dad going to win next year?
Say big numbers. Say 9.
Say 9.
Hi.
He just got high right now.
Low budget live prediction right there.
That's it. Yeah. Now he's gonna say boat for the next 20 minutes till I get him on this thing. So
I love it, man. Dada. He said, Dada, it's time to play.
Yeah.
You've been talking to this Tennessee redneck for too long.
Mama.
Mama. Oh, now he wants mama. Oh man.
Awesome, right? I appreciate you, dude, very much, man. You know, I wish you nothing but success in the upcoming season, and maybe you'll go back to back in that U.S. Open next year too.
I'm gonna try. No, I appreciate everything, Luke. I appreciate you having me on. I always have a fun time talking with you, and yeah, it's been cool.
Very welcome.
Awesome.
Anytime. You let me know anytime, and we'll pop out a low budget live. Luke Duncan and Bryant Smith. I'm here for it, buddy.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Appreciate you, man. Good luck next season.
Thank you.
Well, all right. That's all she wrote with Mr. Bryant Smith. Really appreciate him taking the time out to join us today, just like I appreciate each and every one of you low-lifers checking this episode out. Make sure you're following him on all social media platforms. He is truly just a saint of a human. Such a nice guy, such a great bass angler. And in my opinion, one of those West Coast names that, you know, he's on the elites that I really do believe you're going to hear from for years and years and years to come. So appreciate him once again for joining us here on this fine Monday. I'll be back next week with more of this craziness. I'll let you know if I'm going to do a live or a not so live next week. I haven't decided yet. I'm kind of thinking maybe it's time for another live. I know we're just, a week removed from one, but I'm kind of thinking about doing that next week. But I will keep all you low-lifers posted. Thank you so much. Take you out with some Biloxi Blues. I'll see y'all next week. See you.
never could make it last. Spanish moss and Civil War ghosts, well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows, I'm leaving those burdens at rest. This highway, it does not know my name, and I don't care, no, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.